There we go. All right. So, Belladonna, thank you for joining us. Asterial at View, thank you for coming by as well. And Mana Buns, you said that this was an area of interest to you when you were studying it in school. I hope that I can do your studies justice and be able to address the writing aspect of it, as well as um the the twist on it that is needed for tabletop game consideration. So before we look at a particular system, in our case, Dungeons and Dragons, though, I will turn on that music. I will be showing you another system and how it encourages you to tell a story as well, and that's going to be through Cyberpunk Red. So a little bit of Cyberpunk Red. We're talking about a universal application of a concept, so the system doesn't matter as much. But let's look at the idea. There's going to be two ideas. Oh no! Yep, I suckered you in. I suckered you in with the hero's journey, and then we're going to talk about rising action. Ha ha! Got him. Oh, yeah. It's easy. I duped all of you. Anyway. This is beautiful. It's colorful. What does this mean? Doesn't matter what it means right now. In fact, I'm keeping this up on the screen because this is going to be an excellent thumbnail on YouTube. So, also, mwahaha. But I want to start by discussing this because this is a good starting place. There are other ways to plan a story that you're writing for a book or you want to present to players in your improv game at your kitchen table, sort of a thing. But if we don't start at the beginning with a very tried and true model, not just something recently. I mean, we look at the 6 examples here, and the oldest is Star Wars in 1977. I assure you, the hero's journey is a lot older than 77. Of course, 77 is before my time. As you all know, I'm going on, what am I going on? 25? Yeah, I think I'm going to be 25 this year. But I can still understand this ancient ritual of writing, this process and development of a story. Yeah, I am 16, going on 17. It's just it's not as musical a number as it used to be, or if it is, there's a lot more percussion because man, everything just like clicks and snaps when I move now. It's weird. Anyway, we're going to begin our journey of the hero's journey. I'm going to be citing my sources, though of course you're going to see this in textbooks and in a lot of different places. Do you have to go to Grammarly? No. Should you? I don't see why not. Yep. Odyssey, Arabian Nights, Beowulf are the oldest hero's journeys. And really, it's just because it's a natural cycle, like the seasons, like anything else. It's based on patterns that before we had a lot of very pretty words and we could write purple prose, that we understood the development of things and the cycle of things. All right, now I'm not going to read the entire website. That's why I provided it up there for you all. But I am going to be touching on points, and then we're going to No, you're fine. Mana Buns, you're welcome to point things out, ask questions, or state things that come to your mind. All right, the hero's journey is a timeless storytelling pattern found in many works of literature and mythology. It provides a framework for creating compelling stories that resonate with audiences. This article explores the hero's journey in detail, providing a complete resource for those seeking information on this topic and a guide for recognizing and understanding it in writing. Now, remember, we're looking at this in terms of we're being told a story by an author or a script writer for a movie or a play or something, right? The hero's journey is a widely recognized storytelling pattern that has been used for centuries in literature and mythology. It is a framework that helps writers create compelling stories that resonate with their readers by depicting a protagonist who goes through a transformative journey. The journey usually involves a series of challenges that the protagonist must overcome in order to achieve their goal. The hero's journey is also known as the Monomyth, a term coined by Joseph Campbell in his book, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. Yep. We're starting off with the hero's journey, and we're going to grow it out from there, TD. The Monomyth, or hero's journey, is a storytelling pattern that transcends genres and time periods. It is a timeless concept that continues to be relevant today because it speaks to universal themes such as self-discovery, transformation, and growth. While the 12 steps of the hero's journey have become the most widely recognized pattern for storytelling, there are variations of the hero's journey that have been developed over time. Some feature additional steps, while others emphasize different aspects of the journey. For example, Christopher Vogler developed a 7-step variation of the hero's journey that emphasizes the role of archetypes in storytelling. By the way, there's a lot more in-depth of this talking about, like, what is a protagonist? Is it different from a hero? Because it is. It is different from a hero. That is on our YouTube, which if you're on YouTube, go look it up. We have, the past 2 years, we have run NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, workshops the entire month of November, where we start with nothing, and we go through and we outline and frame a book that could be written from all of the notes that we've generated. Hi, Bersilas. Another variation developed by Maureen Murdoch focuses on the journey of the female hero and includes steps such as separation, initiation, and return. All right. Again, there's more. I'm not going to go through every little thing, and we're going to see some charts that will discuss this. But we have our call to adventure, the refusal of the call, meeting the mentor, some Jungian archetypes, crossing the threshold, tests allies and enemies, the approach to the innermost cave, the heart of darkness, often facing their greatest fears and challenges. Then we have our ordeal, our reward, we have our road back, a resurrection, our return, and then we have our freedom to live, which is, you would hope, a happily ever after, but there is a difference between comedy and tragedy, and it has to do with the ending. So, examples, the Odyssey, which was mentioned above in chat, The Left Hand of Darkness, The Lord of the Rings, Hunger Games, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, The Handmaid's Tale, The Hero and the Crown, Star Wars. All right, so very good intro uh, introduction to the concept. Let's see if we can refine it a little bit. Now, we're going to move over to Masterclass. And what are some examples here? Hands up if you heard this story before. A lonely hero who is trying to find himself. A sudden and unexpected journey, promising adventure and peril. A test of character, strength, and skill. An ultimate battle that tests the hero's resolve. A triumphant return home. If this sounds familiar, that's because this exact narrative template has inspired countless stories, from ancient myths to modern television shows and movies. And this is the Monomyth. In The Hero with a Thousand Faces, Joseph Campbell, a professor of literature at Sarah Lawrence College, unpacks his theory that all mythological narratives share the same basic structure. He refers to this structure as the monomyth, or hero's journey. Campbell summarizes it like this, quote, "A hero ventures forth from the world of common day into a region of supernatural wonder. Fabulous forces are there encountered, and a decisive victory is won. The hero comes back from this mysterious adventure with the power to bestow boons on his fellow man." Campbell lays out 17 total stages of the hero's journey structure. However, not all monomyths necessarily feature all stages. There and many, many more than what we have than what we've gone through. But we have our basic stages: the departure, the initiation, and the return. And if you're like, well, yeah, this going out, testing yourself, becoming more powerful, that sounds a lot like role-playing games, which is true because role-playing games are storytelling games. And there are elements to them, whether it uses experience points or milestones or something else altogether, there is that consideration. You are tested. You encounter various social conundrums, moral conundrums, cat conundrums, apparently. And the more you succeed, the wiser, the smarter, the stronger, the constitutionaler you get. But we have a breakdown of the three parts. Now, of course, you might have also heard of, the three acts. And we're going to get into the breakdown of films as well. But if we look on this site here, you have film examples. Here are literature examples. So we have Lord of the Rings. We have Sorcerer's Stone, written at two different times and yet follow a structure. This is giving you a little bit more to go on if you need more notes, more or better notes, as well as does invoke the origination here with the Hero with a Thousand Faces. If you want to go back to the source. I'm not opening that up. I'm not going into all of that right now, but I want to put that in front of you. Would that I could hand out associate's degrees to you all. I would use my ability to do so and teach these courses in a more formal setting. Oh, well, we're not to rising action just yet. All right, so let's take a look. We have the, before we get to that colorful path that we started, because this is not just a sterile, boring literature topic. I'm going to take you over to knowyourmeme.com. Because you see these things, and even perhaps the critique of where it goes astray with various memes. The hero's journey is the name given to the specific steps taken by a literary main character in the course of their story. as well as an exploitable flowchart showing a circle representing the journey, which is frequently used in object labeling memes. The hero's journey trope is often, by the way, like TV tropes and other similar sites are good for this too, are often seen as the requirement for a story hero to be fully actualized, with many heroes in both old and modern stories undertaking similar challenges and experiences that qualify as positions on the circular flowchart. The phrase entering into existence during the 1950s is believed to be much older than this due to how storytelling has existed. Though it has existed for centuries, as all stories involving great heroes have common threads and similarities between them. However, in 1949, Joseph Campbell released his book titled The Hero with a Thousand Faces, we've heard that before, in which he called out what previous writers were copying off of each other. Essentially, the stereotype of a hero goes off on an adventure and comes back after overcoming adversity. And this is probably the widest seen cycle of the hero's journey. And it is good to view it as a cycle because it starts all over again. And this is going to play into our second part of the workshop when we're talking about a campaign structure, a long-form campaign structure. Because as we embark on this journey and all of this happens, and we come back, the return, and now we're like, king of the farmlands, but the wheel turns. Summer turns to autumn, turns to winter, turns to spring again, and turns to summer. And just because you're king of the farmlands doesn't mean necessarily that you are at your journey's end. But that leg of it is over, and for it, you have come a long way, even though it's seen you end up back in the farmlands from whence you've originated. So keeping it as a cycle is important, and doubly so if you are a storyteller in a role-playing game at your tabletop. So here's an example of The Wizard of Oz, and of course we have a take on what happens if you skip a couple of the steps. We discussed this back in our NaNoWriMo conversation about what is a Mary Sue character, or not even just the concept of a Mary Sue itself, but what feels like a disjointed story, or a character to whom we, as the audience member, the reader, the viewer, or whatever, we can't associate. And it turns into a telling of the power of the wisdom or something, and not necessarily the showing of it. How is it earned? Or are we just supposed to believe that here is a character to whom we're supposed to be sympathetic or relate in some way, and he or she is the best thing in the world automatically, and there's really no proof nor citation given. If you are given your power, is it seen as earned, or as is it as recognized? For example, if you have two people who both have $1 million, and you hear that one of those characters started, it was a rags to riches story, started with nothing, innovated, probably failed a couple times, kept going, probably faced immense, external criticism, internal, failings of self, eating a lot of humble pie. And then they found the one, not the one ring, but the one thing that did it. I mean, look at the story of IKEA. The guy who started IKEA went door to door selling fish and like Christmas decorations and stuff on a bicycle. Now, look at the second person, and this person has $1 million because they were given it. Maybe a family member died, or they won the lottery. Which in some cases you can say, well, hey, I'm sorry for the loss of your family member. You have $1 million, or cool, you won the lotto. You have $1 million. But that same $1 million, doesn't hit the same way. And there's even a point where or even a rags to riches, where that same person ends up becoming a villain in some way, despite everyone knowing the rise from nothing to not nothing, where you go from none to some and some to much, and then there's a point where it might be considered to be too much. No matter the charity, no matter whatever else. And I'm sure any of you out there can think of different examples that are personal to you, that are maybe more broadly accepted in pop culture or something else. And so a character that skips some of these parts, and it just turns into well, just trust me, bro. This is a super powerful character. It can disassociate your audience, whether they're your players or your readers, if it's a presentation, from that story, because there was no growth or development. There was nothing we could learn, we as an audience member can learn from, or even in that learning go back and critique. Oh, that's not how that happens. All the same, I'm fascinated to see how this plays out, if it actually is. It could be a morbid curiosity or an honest curiosity that someone found a way forward that maybe we can simulate. But if you're not born with highly spiking midichlorians and given stuff or whatever else, if you are, you're not like a lot of other people. But maybe we want to become someone. We are a process. We are always on that way. All right, so now let's check out, how do the characters in these 6 different movies, or sentiments, right, follow the same journey and yet have wildly different genres or mediums or budgets or whatever else, right? Well, here we go. In our cycle, if you remember the parts of it, and at the elbows here, we'll be reminded. In the ordinary world, Harry Potter lives in the cupboard under the stairs at 4 Privet Drive. The ordinary world for Luke Skywalker, he lives on a moisture farm on Tatooine. These are 2 wildly different norms, and yet they are the norm for that character. This is every day. What about The Matrix? Thomas Anderson lives a double life as a regular citizen and as Neo, a hacker. Peter Parker is a nerdy student who is bullied by his classmates. That's every day. Simba is heir to the throne in the Pride Lands, and Frodo lives comfortably in the Shire and visits Bilbo. Wildly different genres, mediums, and everything, and yet we see the norm. Which is why, in our project to come, our norm, starting out at level 11, is not going to be the norm for a lot of people, but for these characters, they are already in a normal. And that's why it's our starting point, and we're going to continue and grow from there. And now each receives the call to adventure. Gandalf tells Frodo that he must destroy the One Ring. Scar kills Mufasa and tells Simba to leave the Pride Lands. A genetically engineered spider bites Peter and wakes up with powers. Neo receives cryptic messages referencing the Matrix. R2-D2 gives Luke a message from Princess Leia asking Obi-Wan Kenobi to help her. Harry receives a letter to attend Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. These are the calls to adventure. It is that one next step from the ordinary world to coax the hero, the would-be protagonist or hero, out of the ordinary. Now, what's interesting, if you go through this, what happens if you were to mix and match? Frodo lives comfortably in the Shire and visits Bilbo, and a genetically engineered spider bites Frodo and wakes up his powers. Well, after that, of course, we find out that Frodo doesn't believe he could be a real spider wizard. That's the refusal of the call. No, this can't be real. I can't be a spider hobbit. But then we meet the mentor, and in this case, Morpheus tells Frodo to take the red pill or the blue pill. And of course, Spider Frodo takes the spider pill, and after this meeting with the mentor, and then crosses into the threshold into this world outside the norm. Frodo accompanies Obi-Wan to Alderaan to deliver the plans for the One Ring to Leia's father. Haven, hello. Yeah, I know, no spoiler tags. I'm sorry, Bersilas. Anyway, we can follow this along, and you can see in this beautiful chart, which if I forgot to, I might have forgotten to link to you all. If you want to play along at home, it's right up here. But you can follow this and see that this is a tried and true. It's a tried and true pattern. But you can tell a variety of stories, sci-fi, fantasy, comic book style, just in everyday. I mean, Spider-Man is that comic book, but kind of modern style. It's cell phones and taxi cabs. It's a big city in the otherwise modern world. Haven. If you have channel points, you've been here before. You might have come over in a raid. If you fall asleep and you're raided in, we get a lot of raids into the channel. We conduct a lot of workshops like this where we teach role-playing games and storytelling. You might have dropped by for any of the role-playing games that we run. For example, Wolf Queen Belladonna played as a Ventrue vampire in Vampire the Masquerade last year. But anyway, so you can follow the journey either itself, or if you mix and match, you go, you know what, these actually work really, really well together, and you come up with your own flavor. And by the end, if you take this red string and you mix it with a blue, so we have purple, and then we go and we make it a little bit more greenish. And I know in color that would make us into like a tertiary, like a kind of a brownie color or something. Anyway, but we're changing the coloration, and we're gonna get, we have our big Hakuna Matata piece. We're now attending Hogwarts. We are Norman figures out that Peter is Spider-Man and kidnaps Mary Jane. And I guess Norman figures out that Frodo is Underhill or Spider Hobbit and kidnaps Samwise. And you can still tell a wonderful, engaging, riveting story to the players at your table or to a broader audience if you decide to write a book, make a comic, or a movie or something. And I want to showcase a couple more. I'm gonna throw in a couple media pieces to expand on this because I like doing it in these workshops. Look, how many of you ever had school? And man, it was exciting when the teacher brought out the TV cart and you got to watch something that was taking place in the textbook. So, does he take them through the wardrobe to Terabithia? I don't see why that couldn't happen in this mashup survival. All right, now we had talked about three different phases, right? What's something about the threshold? For that, I'm gonna play a piece that some of you might be familiar with, and if you're watching this on YouTube, I probably had to cut the audio for it. Otherwise, I would get a copyright strike. So if you're live on Twitch, enjoy it while you can.
Hello? Don't stop, I'm already late. Late for what? I'm going on an adventure.
Now, of course, catches up with the dwarves and Gandalf, who were referenced as, the mentor and everything. And this is an example of crossing that threshold. And Bersilis, what you had talked about, no sound. Hi, Manchita. We're going over examples of the hero's journey to prime ourselves for writing up the campaign of everything that we've developed so far. We cross the threshold in this medium because not only do we leave the Shire, but when it comes to the storytelling through this medium, where do we start? It's quiet. You could barely hear some birds. A little bit of sunlight is coming in from the morning sun. It's dim. It's not dark and ominous, but it's dim, right? It's quiet. He's alone. He sees the contract with the dwarves and realizes that there's more out there. That and by the way, this is after the refusal. he does refuse to be the burglar. And now what happens? Ready? Dim and quiet. It is daylight out. We have festive music, running. This is excitement. There's flowers. Things are in bloom. We're making our way through the known world of the ordinary.
Mr. Bilbo, where are you off to? Don't stop, I'm already late. Late for what? I'm going on an adventure.
And here we go. This is it. It was a tight shot. This is the last look, and we're in a different place, different trees, a different scale to things. Everything is taller and bigger. I know we're still talking about dwarves on ponies.
Wait!
This is that threshold. And as a storyteller, if you can do this through the written word or through, audio visual, that is the embarking, right? He was making his way downtown, walking fast, but not homebound. Now, let's continue around on our journey. And what about this revelation, right? We have challenges and temptations. We've had the mentor and the helper, and we have this time, this abyss, this death and rebirth. Now, spoilers, Frodo leaves the Shire, and you're going to see a scene in an anime, one of my favorites, if y'all couldn't tell. You're going to see a moment in an anime that is one of my favorites, where this death and rebirth occurs. So if you would like to not have Tengen, Toppa, Gurren, Lagaan spoiled for you, I'm gonna need just like a couple minutes, okay? So, I don't know how you want to do it, but I'm gonna spoil an event in Gurren Lagann, and I'm gonna use it as an example, and then we're gonna go back and keep on a moving. So look away if you don't want spoilers. Here we go. After some events that are leaving this character looking rather bloodied and bruised, something happens, right? Now, that was short, and I didn't want to reveal all of the events of what that was about, but this is a moment where this character, known as Kamina, is passing on the leadership of a group after the ordeals that were faced, after being a big brother to Simon, or Shimon, if you prefer the Japanese pronunciation. And we have this moment where there is a physical death, but we have in this character, this is a moment of Simon's death. Something very bad has happened. He has left the comfort of the mines. He has gone out and, under the tutelage of his guide, of his Obi-Wan, that was trying to open him up to the Force. But now, Obi-Wan is no longer around. Also, Star Wars spoilers. Neither is Kamina. who leaves wisdom in this passing to Simon, who then is reborn as Simon, but not as the Simon he was. Not as the Simon that needed someone else to believe in him, as the Simon who believes in himself now. Now, what do we have? And spoilers are over. If any of you are just watching text, I think Belladonna said no more spoilers. Yep, spoilers ended. Wee woo and police. Spoilers over. Okay. Now, if you don't want aliens spoiled for you, alien spoilers ahead. Now what happens? The return. We've had our call to adventure. We've had all of this happening. The character of Ripley has crossed the threshold, has challenges and temptations, death and rebirth as Ripley, but not Ripley any longer. We've gone through this transformation, and it's time to return. Let's see how this plays out in a different genre than the ones that we've seen before, and yet is still consistent. And she lives happily ever after. Right? However, I can say this. We have had a return to the normal. What was Ripley's life like? When we meet her, she is asleep in a spaceship and it's peaceful and quiet. And she lives in a world without aliens. In fact, we can see that through this. Like, did you see that she's wearing magic armor and is wielding a magic weapon against the Balrog or against the great enemy? You didn't? What do you mean? Look at our knight who has gone through ordeals in her magic armor. She's infused with knowledge and experience. She's wearing armor against the beast. She uses a magic weapon, a weapon never before used against the creature, not since days of old. So, all right, Persilas. Now, it does go back, it goes from the noble brightness and victory, and we're returning to the norm. This tightening claustrophobia and kind of a somber sound. And if you don't believe me, that she has to that, but she is wiser for it. She's gone on this adventure, and she's lost people along the way. She's found herself. She's gone through a death and a rebirth. Oh, I'm glad you had fun, Hero Dragon. And so our cycle is complete. Now, as many of you laughed, this isn't necessarily a happy ending. And her journey is not over. And that is exactly why the hero's journey even for the same hero, can go on to repeat itself. Because now that she's, in gaming terms, she's leveled up. She's smarter, she's braver, she has more friends, more stuff, more influence, more whatever. While she's returned back to the normal, the world is changed. She can no longer be the Ripley she was before. And Aliens, the sequel, does a very good job of explaining that, where she goes back to being, while she's experienced, she's the lone survivor of the Nostromo. Do you know who Ripley is on the Sulaco? For as much as she was, like, she was the survivor, she's creative, she's this engineer and innovative. Where does she rank on the Sulaco in the second movie? Anyone? Bueller? Bueller? You don't have to know her exact rank, but GMV, kind of. She has a warrant officer rank, but she's not in the Marines. She knows how to work stuff. She's an engineer. She's a special consultant who was brought along. She's not a powerful, like a strong, armed and armored Marine with years of combat experience. Yeah, she's a civilian consultant. And so we see where the hero of the journey goes back to the normal of the world, the universe in this time. And while she has changed, and there's other things that have changed in the background, as you would go and find out, when she starts another journey, despite all that, she goes back to being the low woman on the totem pole, right? And thus, she embarks on another hero's journey. And yet we can watch Alien and Aliens, we can see the same journey, and yet each journey takes us in a different place, in a different way. And it's still entertaining. And it still improves the character. Because she earns every win, everything that she learns, every ounce of strength, of resolve, of moral value. This is the sequel. Huh. This opening sure does look familiar. It's like we're starting right back where we were. See? The computer comes alive. Oh. Now, this is jumping into something else, right? And you know what's going to happen? She's returned to the norm. Do you think that she's going to refuse the call to action? And yet she's still going to embark on it? She's still going to follow that hero's journey. And much like the crew of the Nostromo, she's in the stasis, she's in the hypersleep, and she's going to get woken up out of it. Also, y'all can say
are all on the green. Looks like she's alive.
You can say hi to Jonesy.
There goes our salvage, guys.
All right, now one last thing. We're going to leave off. We're going to leave off on this because this is where we are going to this is where we're going to pick up our second part of the workshop. We've discussed the hero's journey. We've given plenty of examples. I hope that you realize that when you're making your own campaigns or you want to plot out something to film or write or draw in a comic, that you can see this cycle is tried and true, and it can be presented in a variety of ways. It itself is not creatively bankrupt. And I want that to be empowering for you with that knowledge, that understanding, and seeing the proof of it in front of you. And when we pick up, because I have to get up and take a quick little break here, I want to talk about Rising Action, which is going to go over here into Freitag's Pyramid. And we can also touch on the 3-act story structure too. We're going to talk about this. We're going to look at this in cyberpunk terms. We'll go from Alien, which is sci-fi. We'll jump into how Cyberpunk Red as a story presents it. Then we'll swing back around to Return Home to Dungeons and Dragons and explore the DMG, and we're gonna do a plotting exercise together now that we have this base of understanding. So I'll be right back, and we'll continue to have some fun and be creative. At least I hope we'll be creative. Oh, if we're not, ooh, I don't know. What are we gonna do? Ah! visitors! Woohoo! Hey, so thank you for coming in. Let's go live again. The light, it bends us. Welcome to Dungeon Daddy X. And a hello to Bunny Bearish, Killman2312, and Dungeon Daddy, Spoopy Kitsune, first time chatter. The guild has come to collect its bounty or its booty. Well, Kitsune, that seems a little sus. Yeah, so what happened over on your channel? Before we get back into our workshop here, I want to greet you all, welcome you to the hallowed halls of the Hero Zone. We're in the middle of a campaign creation workshop. We were just finishing reviewing the hero's journey, providing examples, and giving some very optimistic and encouraging ways that you all can consider the stories you wish to tell in this, following this pattern. And that it's not unoriginal, or it doesn't feel like a sellout, because it is a very, it is a thematic, universally applicable series of events. Hi, Medusa Queen. Now, for those of you who did come over, and a special thanks, Bunny Bearish, for the follow. Now, you all might see that I have a red bar above my head. Pardon me. This is actually a red bar. I was eating off camera. I'm like, oh, I got a raid. So I have it off to the side. You finished session 0 of a brand new story written by Dungeon Daddy X, The Darkness Within, with all hand-drawn models and assets that you did for it. Well, thank you. I appreciate the consideration coming in strong after a session 0. What did you determine or discover in your session 0? Was that campaign creation? Was that going over elements of like what is bonding your characters to the setting? Was it discussing homebrew rules? What were you doing in your session 0, Bunny Bearish? And thank you for lending your art to the forever DM of Dungeon Daddy. Oh, okay. So it was a 0 and then a 1 to get things going, Killman. I'm gonna real quick. I'm finishing my chicken salad. I'll actually do this off camera because I wanted to show you all something over the years because thank you very much, Killman. So as you see, there's a red bar above me that says Tiamat Rises. Oh, what's that about? Well, we are in our 7th year as a channel here on Twitch, as a workshop for teaching, primarily teaching storytelling and role-playing games, but we do a lot of other fun stuff. And to celebrate hitting 4,000 followers, I wanted to do something special. I wanted to offer a very large prize to someone to help reach this wonderful milestone. And so I am running an event through this channel and facilitated by our Discord, where the winner will receive a $400 pre-painted gargantuan Tiamat miniature for free with free US shipping. And how do you enter? It's pretty easy. The mascots of the channel are taking part in an adventure. They are going on an adventure, much like the reference that we were using for our hero's journey exercise earlier. And over this adventure, It's a coloring book that can be completed by printing it out and using crayons or watercolor. It can be completed in MS Paint with the fill tool almost exclusively only, or the pencil other than that. Or if you have a lot of artistic skill like Bunny Bearish, if you have, I don't know, like a Clip Studio or Photoshop or something else, and you want to add a bunch of texture and lens flares and cool stuff like that, you can do that too. This is not something that is graded for accuracy. There is a side category for a side prize, but I want to make this as accessible as possible to as many people as possible, and maybe in some ignite that spark of interest in art, in trying something new. And even for those of you out there who do practice art as a profession or as a hobby, maybe you try something new because you aren't pressured to meet a condition from a client or someone who's commissioned you or whatever, right? This is an expression of you, and having an artist's soul that is the purest form of art, no matter if it comes out as a stick figure or as a beautifully rendered 3D piece in, 8K, 240p, whatever, ray tracing something. Dungeon Daddy, hello! It was fun getting to write the story. Bunny Bear is playing a tiefling monk, Kelman a goblin barbarian, and I am the DM. What are the backgrounds for the characters? I presume with your session 0, who is our tiefling monk and who is our goblin barbarian? Bunny Bear said we did story intros and explored our world. It started with 2 characters walking to find their original party, basically evaporated. Then Kilman's OC fell into our world through a time warp portal, then ventured to a new town where we met 3 more. To introduce this adventure, in fact, even almost as a session 0 or an exploration of a theme or a hero's journey in itself, though the ending is kind of interesting. With you all here as raiders and those of you who are normally here, I haven't played it, I think, in the last couple nights. I would like to show you the introduction to our Tiamat miniature. It's very large for a miniature. It's about the size of a house cat. But our Tiamat giveaway. I am here. I'm gonna scarf on my dinner real quick while it's playing. I hope you enjoy it. It's real quick, and this was done by talent in the channel. Just like Dungeon Daddy has Bunny Bearish as an artist for what he has going on. So, I am here. I am reading chat. Let me play this to reinforce our workshop and to give some invigoration and introduce the newcomers to the channel to this big giveaway event that we're running.
Sheol nod.
And I'm back. Hello. I finished and I was reading. Thank you very much for renewing the sub, Obsidian Cyrex. And Bunny Bearish, I read what you're talking about, being the cult experiment here. And it seems like you have a lot to discover and overcome with your character. And I hope that that you and everyone else can keep coming back after your sessions to let us know the growth and the experiences of your characters. And Kilman, of course, getting into your Goblin Geo, abandoned at birth, taken in by an orc clan. He became a warrior and set out on his own adventure. Of course, that gets into the being pulled through the portal, and now you've met with others. A stranger in a strange land. Always a very compelling way to, there is that call to adventure, and as reluctant as Geo might be, or as strange as things might appear, yeah, well, we got to get through it, right? We have to understand. Maybe we can try and find a way home. These are both very compelling backgrounds for your characters to have. And so Kilman, you as well. You and Bunny Bear and Dungeon Daddy, you are all very welcome to continue coming back and participating in participating in our workshops here by letting us know what's happening, because that itself is participation and contribution. I love hearing about what you all do at your tabletops, virtual or otherwise. And for those of you who do come by and you say, "Oh, this week's session, you wouldn't believe what happened," I pay attention as best as I can and follow along so I can understand what's unfolding at, your own adventure that's playing out in front of you. So thanks to Obsidian Cyrex, Bunny Bearish says she has Jekyll and Hyde moments. Yeah, very good backgrounds, and I appreciate you sharing them. And I get, and I am guilty of this too, where we describe our characters as, I'm a male human fighter, or I'm a half orc barbarian. That it's a description, but I love knowing who the character is. And in at least in 5th edition D&D, primarily that's done through the character's background. And it's what I teach and reinforce in my workshop, because we start with the character's background before any of the other stuff, race and class and that, because I want to know who our character is. A dragonborn, dragon blood sorcerer is cool and all, but that doesn't describe your character. It doesn't provide as compelling an interest, right? Whatever loadout you have for spells or whatever your hit points or AC are, I'm happy that you have hit points and an AC, but I want to know that who is your character? What has he or she experienced and gone through? What has been a life of the mundane, or a life of adventure that's led up to this point? And especially, where are you going to go from here? So I know I put you on the spot, Bunny and Kilman, but I appreciate you stepping up and providing that little bit extra so that we can get to know your characters as well. I really do appreciate that. And I also don't want to downplay, race and class are a part of a character, of course. And I hope that you can do awesome and incredible and fantastic things. Like if you're taking this path of either mastering yourself, or it's a religious practice, it's a Western style, an Occidental or an Oriental style monk, or something else, I hope that you are able to ingratiate all parts of these or these elements of your character into her. And now that you have this stable stool, right? A stool needs 3 legs to be stable. Your character sits upon that stool. You use all three of those, and you're in a mighty fine place, and they can all add to the growth and development over the course of the story that that your DM is going to guide. But yep, if you all want to get in on this Tiamat giveaway, you're welcome to do so. Again, we're facilitating it through Discord. Rip Artist, thank you very much for sharing that link up above. Did I talk too much? I'm sorry. We have a bunch of newcomers, and I just come off of break, eating a dinner really quickly in the background, and I hope that wasn't overwhelming. Or like, oh god, he's one of those streamers. Yuck. Can he just shut up, please? We'll get to our campaign building workshop here in just a moment. I am passionate. That's true. I maybe I overshare sometimes. We have also an escaped servant. That's a moth fairy druid who also escaped a factory of sorts. A Neko warlock who is abandoned by his family and wishes to constantly discover new things for experiments. A kitsune wizard who's followed by her parents' spirits to guide her through life, a dragonborn fighter who wants to learn his place in his family through a family trial. Yeah, there we go. Bunny Bearish, that's how you do it. I love it. I love it. And so here it is tonight. The roots of this story are now starting to sprout from the seed. This was the player's session 0 and dipping toes just that little bit into session 1. Very much so, and I hope the personalities remain distinct, and yet they mesh, and that there is confrontation, but it's overcome, and it all adds to help everyone have an amazing time. Reflect on their characters and themselves in some fun way, and however long this story is going to go, I don't know if you intend on keeping it short form, or for all I know, Bunny Bearish, I hope you all keep coming back for the next 2 years as this adventure plays out week by week. Oh, and you're a first timer too, Bunny Bearish? Oh, heck yeah. Hey, and just remember, all right, here's the secret, okay? Like, Dungeon Daddy, don't listen, earmuffs, okay? I'm gonna reveal to Bunny Bearish the secret on how you win Dungeons and Dragons. So come here, Bunny. Come on. You ready? If you had fun that night, even if your character died, you won. That's how you do it. Are you a first timer too? Hero Dragon, it's a pleasure to meet you again for the first time. But Bunny, yeah, so may I ask what had you step up and decide to try out role playing? What had you decide to partake in this original story as not just a reader or a viewer of a movie, you know, someone who kind of has a more passive role in the story, but you are an active part of it. You are a living, breathing part of this world. It's very quiet. I don't have background music playing. Let's see. If we're going to be talking about building a campaign, Let's... I wanted to sort of take on the role of my character and make her come to life, and I thought it'd be fun after streams. I do animatics for some scenes for fun because I want her to learn to animate. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's a fun little crossover. And might I add, Bunny, if you are your group's artist or you want to do animatics and stuff, I highly encourage it. Not only will it continue to refine your style, your technique, you will become a better artist and editor and everything else. You are going to help your party create some really awesome create some very awesome memories that are going to last. Yeah. Oh, excellent. Hey, and I'm glad that you were able to provide those to Dungeon Daddy too. All of mine are just the standard. Well, all the Twitch ones are the standard. I have a couple here from a prior campaign. Here's a BTTV emote. But they're far and few between, and if that's a talent that you have, Bunny, you have a very good home in any roleplay group, in any channel, Discord or Twitch that you lurk in. The creativity is always needed. I was very blessed to have several artists in the D&D game I ran on the channel. And let me tell you, Bunny, I am ecstatic at every sketch and every finished grand piece that any of them made. It's ooh. Yeah, as you're setting out on this role-playing journey, you and your character, if you want to incorporate artistry through her, are going to have an amazing time. Oh, okay. So you're doing it as a profession, even. Then you're having fun and consistently improving. Win-win. Heck yeah. Now, have you made animatics? Have you made animatics for other games or for yourself or characters or OCs? And you're definitely in a good crowd here, as I don't know if any of the other artists here, Belladonna, if you're around, or I don't know if Coffee Cat or some others are around too. Excellent. Oh, Belladonna. Bunny Bearish is just getting into role playing, and like just had a session 0 and did artwork for the channel that she is running or has a character in, and was talking about wanting to do animatics and things for the channel, like for the characters and the story. So I was encouraging that and saying that I was very blessed to have artists in the channel, and especially the game, to chronicle uh, moments that have happened. Bunny, if you would like to talk with others who've done this before, I would highly encourage you. You can talk with Belladonna, Coffee Cat, and some others who have helped me out with projects like that. You have a great many friends that can help you with like feedback or peer review on art if you need it. If you need some help with editing or throwing together an animatic, or if you have questions on role playing as well, you are welcome to ask and to network. If you're a commission artist as well, I do have an area on our Discord that's called it's called Talent for Hire, or like Your Talent for Hire, and you're welcome to post a commission sheet and all that over there too if you'd like. Yeah, you still have an outstanding one, don't you, Belladonna? You have at least one outstanding. A rising tide lifts all ships, Bunny. So you are very welcome, and I am happy to continue to urge you on in this journey. In fact, Bunny, do you have a minute? I'll show you an animatic that Belladonna put together for the role-playing game. Now, you won't have any story context to it, but if you look at it from the compositional aspect or the editing aspect of it, hopefully that can give you some encouragement. Moment here. They bring it up. Is this the right one? That might not be the right one. 1 second here, everyone. Let's mute that. Okay. Oh, you want to finish your writing, Belladonna? Okay. Well, here's some quick inspiration, Dungeon Daddy. If you have an artist like Bunny in your crew and for your channel, then some amazing things are going to be accentuated, and it creates a feedback loop of positivity and creativity. I'll show you all one that Belladonna put together.
To me, and it might have meant a thing or two if I'd known the difference. Emptiness, a lonely parody, and my life another smoking gun, a sign of my indifference. Always keeping safe inside when no one ever had a chance to penetrate or break in. Let me tell you, some have tried, but I slammed the door so tight that they could never get in. Kept my cool and the lock and key, and I never shed a tear, and now the sign of my condition. The fear of love or bitter vanity, it kept me on the run, the main events of my confession. Kept a chain upon my door that would shake the shame of gain into a blind submission. The burning ghost without a name was still calling all the same, but I just wouldn't listen. The longer I stole, the further I crawl, the further I crawl, the harder I fall while scrolling into the fire. The more that I saw, the further I fall, the further I fall, the lower I crawl, I kept falling into the fire. Into the fire. Into the fire. Suddenly it occurred to me the reason for the right and hide of total my existence. Everything left on the other side could never be much worse than this, but could I go the distance? I pressed the door and all my shame, tearing off each piece of chain until they were broken. But no matter how I tried, the other side was locked so tight, the door it wouldn't open. Gave it all I got, started to laugh. The shouted for someone to open and look, just get through the door. The more that I know, the harder I get, the harder the door.
Oh, isn't that nice? So now there's a lot in there, Bunny, where you're probably like, I have no idea what's going on, but I'm glad that you liked it. The ending for sure was very specific for reasons that involved that lizard and the dragonborn. And the key to unlocking the door and the chains and everything. Um, it I promise it all makes sense, but you got to get there, right? You got to play through it, work with your DM, pay attention to the theme, pay attention to the world that in which you are adventuring, and you're going to have so much extra creativity unlocked and unleashed. And I hope it makes a lot of opportunity for you as well. So you are definitely with friends in Dungeon Daddy's channel, certainly here in the Hero Zone. All of you, Dungeon Daddy, as a forever DM, my heart goes out to you, my friend, and I appreciate you doing what you do, especially introducing newcomers. Anyone who came over in the raid who are just found themselves here because of the strange illustrations. This is very much a part of stories as well. Mental imagery, or in this case, physical imagery. This is the second scene telling the story of what happens to the mascots after they got their butts whooped by Tiamat. So that's not the ending that maybe many people expected. Oh, well, they're the channel mascots. Of course they should win. Not this time around. She's a lot more powerful, and the mascots got to eat some humble pie. But you can go on the adventure with them by putting your character in place of the YCH placeholder. Or if you don't feel comfortable doing that, or you don't want to commission someone else to do it for you, you can always go for a generic gray anime manga NPC background character and color everything else how you wish using the fill tool in MS Paint, because these work like that. That's how I colored it. If we take a look, I spent over 9,000 hours in MS Paint coloring this. And by that, I did it live on the channel last night for like 5 minutes. And then I used the pencil so that I had the Hero Zone, because you got to have your name on it, right? Hi, your aunts. Good to see you. Anyway, a lot of creativity. We're welcoming newcomers, and why don't we get into what we're going to talk about for the second part of our workshop. As soon as the PDF opens, that is very anticlimactic.